back to my channel. Another week has passed and this is the time for another weekly video. In the previous two videos, we talked about the importance of the mindset, about the money for your financial success. And in the second video, we were talking about building your money plan, which is different from simply a budget. And today we're going to talk about something I didn't quite plan to talk during my third video, but the amount of the messages that I got and questions regarding the building the money plan and structuring your financial routine really shows me that it is important to talk about discipline. Just like in any other area in our life, discipline oftentimes defines the difference between just dreaming about the freedom, financial security, and achieving actually this goal. And it's very simple, but it's not easy. And let me share some personal experience with you. I'm not a big fan of strict discipline. I know that for some other people that may work, and this is probably the shortest path to achieving a goal, to be very focused on that strict discipline with no right to step right or left. For me, though, strongly dislike those strict discipline rules and principles. They make me feel like I'm trapped. And I feel that way even when I created the discipline, the ideas and the steps myself. Don't even mention when someone else tries to push that on me and make and expect me to follow their routine. It's really challenging for me to make sure that the steps that I follow, that I can do that in a sustainable way. It also very often leads to the burnout and that feeling of that failure if I can't achieve every single step, every single time or moment, or if it's a month, if you're talking about the financial discipline. So that sense of strict discipline sometimes give me more of a pushback rather than pulling me towards my goal. And because strict discipline doesn't really work for me, but I still want to make sure that I'm on track with achieving all of my goals, self-discipline principles, which I really want to share with you. So self-discipline is not really about being lazy or skipping your responsibilities and hope that your goal will be achieved in a magical way with the flow. No, it has nothing to do with this. It's very soft on the outside, while inside of it, there is still that strong core that allow you to achieve your goal in the fastest way. But let me explain. Self-discipline is about building a system where everything revolves around your goals and your core values and pushes you gently every time towards where you want to achieve that. But this kind of approach really makes staying disciplined feel like you're doing that with less use of your willpower, more organically, more naturally. In fact, creating that system to give you that feeling takes quite a lot of preparation and a lot of strategic planning and a lot of what is even more important, assess and adjusting so that you can create your own system for the self-discipline. But then once you were able to build that system, it takes less and less of a push of your willpower every time when you take that step. And if you think about that, this is priceless. And again, just like everything I do, everything I love, it's about investing in advance in your systems so that you build your future. And then in future, it's easier for you to reap the benefits and actually get 10 times benefits comparing to if you were pushing just for the sake of pushing. For example, in my own daily life, I always allow myself have a cheat meal. I can skip a workout. I can spend a whole day in bed doing nothing, not even pretending that I'm doing anything useful. But the key is that I don't see that as a failure, even though I do have my goals for daily clean eating, for workouts of some sort every day, for staying super active and being very careful and wise with the time of my life. However, my KPIs, they're never usually tied to my daily activities. Instead, I count my weekly KPIs, and I may have the amount of days when I'm staying within my calories intake, protein consumption, workouts of with lifting weights or HIIT training or cardio or walks outside, things like that. And they're more like spread, same with work days, with work activities. And they're spread within during a week, so that if within a week I can check them all off, then I don't need to be that strict with everyday activities. Now, that doesn't mean that it allows me to take that as an excuse and don't even push for achieving of daily goals, because usually the KPIs that I have for a week, it require me to do the work every day. And there is not that much of a room for that cheating, but there is some wiggle room to make sure that I am listening to my body, listening to my mind, and I'm utilizing all my resources without needing to deplete it every day. And this what allows me to jump next day with brand new energy. And that's a little trick. Another important benefit that I want to share about this self-discipline is that when you just have that box to check off every day, and you have basically zero freedom to decide that you do or do not participate in that, you do pay the cost. You do have to make that decision if you really need to, and you spend a decision on that. And we do have limited numbers of decision during the day. I truly believe in that. And if you just waste your decision-making power on simple decisions where you don't necessarily need to do that, then it's the cost that you pay for that flexibility. But then at the same time, if you need to have that flexibility and you do assess and reassess that every time, then you do get some benefits. And that's especially important in the beginning of your journey, when you're listening to yourself and in the process, in the phase of building that system and deciding what is actually supporting you and what's actually maybe pulling you back. So that great benefit that you're getting when you're listening to yourself and not pushing when you feel like you cannot be pushing anymore, is that when you track what is easier for you and what is harder for you, allowing yourself to slip off the rails at one moment, but you track it without the guilt, and then you get yourself back on track, then you build that track record of what's easier for you, what's harder for you, what is your strength, and then you can build on your strength, and you don't push yourself toward just focusing on where's your weaknesses. And that knowledge is priceless. So that works both ways for our daily life and also for our financial life. Now, let's connect that with money and how that translates into that area of our life. With financial discipline, we do have very limited flexibility with how we can be more or less disciplined. Because if you want to achieve your financial goals, you have to be knowing what you're doing. You have to be knowing where you are, where you want to be, and have the shortest path towards that. The more disciplined you are, the shorter will be your path on achieving towards the achieving of your goal. But at the same time, if there is an obstacle on this way, and for some reason you need to go around that, and you're super strict with your discipline, chances are very high that that plan will just break and you just won't achieve it. And then next time you will have to start from the beginning. When you have that self-discipline approach, you allow yourself some discipline from the beginning. And then when it's needed with the self-discipline, you can allow yourself a little bit more flexibility. You just go around the obstacle. The whole path becomes longer. It takes more time. However, you're staying on some kind of track. And with the financial aspects, there is always the importance of compound interest. Whenever you step out of the project, out of the investments, and compound interest chain is broken, you'll have to start over again. And it's always bad idea to do that. It's always better to do little fixes, but keep going. And with financial aspects in the financial area of our life, it's very similar to health, and investment in our health. That's why I always have that. I always compare them. I always have those scales in my head, because it's a very slight edge, and you don't usually see the difference both with health and with finances when you do something slightly different. So if every day you make choices which are slightly worse for your health, comparing to choices that are every day very small, they won't make any difference within a week, a month, even maybe a year. But then if that happens every day, then the difference in 10, 15 years is going to be huge. And the worst thing is that 15 years later, there will be no chance to go back and reverse that. So now we came to a very tricky question. We may dislike strict discipline, and strict discipline may feel like unbearable a load. But at the same time, we know that with finances, there is no wiggle room for joke, really. Numbers are numbers. They don't like jokes. You can talk them to anything. You cannot massage them. Numbers are numbers. So here I can suggest, and that's what works for me, 3 little tricks that will make huge impact on your future. So first one is knowing why. Your every financial goal of yours should be connected very deeply with your motivation. You need to know very clearly the answer to a question. How will achieving this goal change my life? How will that affect my family, my career, my freedom? And the clearer you are on this, the easier that will be to stay disciplined. Here, we're coming to quite boring stuff, but it's only boring if you didn't tune into that. When you see that you're slipping from creating that budget or setting aside money for number 2 and number 3 in your money plan, go back to that why. Visualize again. What will happen when I achieve this financial goal? What will happen with my family, with my personal freedom, with my career, any other area of your life that keeps you motivated? It's really important not to be just chasing the number, but it's really important to make sure that you're walking towards something meaningful, something that will change your life. Second important trick is to eliminate any possible battles with your willpower, because you probably will lose it. Willpower is very limited, so we try not to rely on it. Instead, create those systems, as I mentioned at the beginning, that will be supporting your actions towards your goal within your values. A great example is automating of your investments. Set up your systems that way that all your investments, big or small, are sent towards the investment account or even particular investment strategy before it even appears on your bank after you're being paid. So once you're being paid, make sure that you have everything set up and all the investments go where they should go without you being involved in it. We're going to be talking about that in future videos, but for now, just remember that simple word, automation. Second trick is to make sure that your emergency fund is very hard to access. At this point, I'm not asking if you have an emergency fund, because as we talked in the previous videos, and I urge you to really make that execution, take that action and create that emergency fund. It doesn't matter at this point how much money you have there. What we do need to know that you have an emergency fund, there is some money, and you treat it right. Which means that if you have the same account, or if you have this account in the same bank, linked to the same your primary account, and it's very easy to access that, and it's just a matter of a couple of clicks online and you get the access to all that money, it makes chances very high that if you need extra money, you will just tap into that account. And that's a no. What you need to do, you need to separate those two accounts, your daily checking account and your emergency fund, as far as possible. Even don't have the password to that account to log in easily available. Have it somewhere else so that you need to go get the password to access that even online. And the goal is that not to be able to easily access that, so that no impulse decision can get that money. It's a very powerful step. Another hack is to create barriers to unnecessary spending. Sometimes having someone between you and your financial decision, like trusted advisor, financial advisor, can save you a lot. Even though I don't necessarily suggest having a financial advisor in the long run, oftentimes the cost of their services really more expensive, are higher than the cost of benefits they can offer you. But for beginners, just to develop that better habit and just to stay focused on the goal, it may be a powerful step than just being one-on-one with all the temptations that where your money can be spent. Oh, now one of my favorite ones, and it's perfectionism. Perfectionism is your enemy when it comes to financial discipline. You don't have to be perfect to start with this, but you have to start on your way to be perfect. If you're overwhelmed by taking big steps, then just make those steps smaller, but make sure that you do those steps, follow those steps every single day. And if even those steps feel like very big, make them even smaller. Sometimes even thinking towards the right way is a good thinking. So don't be discouraged. You don't have to be perfectionist, but you have to allocate that time towards that regularly. Speaking about perfectionism, if you analyze your budget and you see there that you overspent on something that you didn't plan, or maybe you didn't cancel something you thought you would be canceling, or there was something unexpected coming out of the blue, and it feels like it basically just jeopardizes everything you were planning. Don't get discouraged again. Take the time to grieve and pull yourself together and get back on track. The sooner, the better, and keep going. You don't have to be perfect to keep going. So discipline doesn't have to feel harsh to be effective. When it's built around your goals, within your core values, and you take consistent steps every single time, even though it's not always successful, just keep moving. With time, you will feel how discipline is becoming empowering instead of restrictive. If this resonated with you, please let me know in comments or in DMs. I know this is a very sensitive topic, so I'm very happy to always read your messages. And let's keep this conversation going, because in the time we live in right now, it's really important to feel like you're not alone. There are many people who are in very similar situations. And whenever you are on your journey, let's make sure that you're moving towards your goal. See you next week.